Welcome to Mindful Ego, your space for reflection, presence, and emotional growth.
Welcome to Mindful Ego. In today's reflection, we're exploring something that shapes every relationship we have, and the one we have with ourselves. Attachment. Attachment is the emotional blueprint we form early in life. It influences how we love, how we argue, how we cope with distance and closeness, and most importantly, how we treat ourselves. This isn't a psychology lecture. It's a soft, mindful invitation to understand your patterns without shame, without judgment. So take a deep breath. This is your time to pause, reflect, and gently grow. Part 1. Where attachment theory comes from. Attachment theory began with psychologist John Bowlby in the 1950s. He studied how children reacted to separation from their caregivers and noticed deep emotional patterns. Later, Mary Ainsworth expanded on this work with the strange situation study. Infants were briefly separated and reunited with their caregivers. The way they responded gave rise to 4 core patterns we now call attachment styles. And over time, we saw these same patterns show up in adults, in how we handle intimacy, trust, conflict, and fear. Attachment is not about being flawed. It's about how we adapted to love, especially when love felt unpredictable. Part 2. Secure attachment, the anchor. The first style is secure attachment. Let's call this one the anchor. The anchor feels safe in closeness. They trust others. They trust themselves. They don't fear being alone, but they welcome connection. This often forms when caregivers were consistent, emotionally available, and responsive. If you relate to this, you may be good at calming yourself when upset. You likely set boundaries without guilt, and you're okay being vulnerable. The anchor isn't perfect, they just feel safe enough to stay grounded in love. Part 3. Anxious attachment, the flame. Next is anxious attachment. We'll call this one the flame. The flame burns bright, desperate to connect, terrified of being left. This style often forms when caregivers were inconsistent, sometimes loving, sometimes withdrawn. The child learns, if I cling hard enough, maybe I won't be abandoned. As adults, flames may overfunction in relationships. They seek reassurance. They fear silence. They may feel too much or constantly worry they're not enough. Underneath is a beautiful heart that just wants to be chosen. Part 4. Avoidant attachment, the wall. Then we meet avoidant attachment. We'll call this one the wall. The wall learned that closeness leads to pain, that needs are dangerous, so they adapt by becoming independent, self-sufficient, sometimes emotionally distant. This often happens when caregivers were critical, distracted, or emotionally unavailable. The wall seems calm, but inside, they might be holding their breath. They may fear being overwhelmed by emotion or judged for needing too much. Connection is wanted, but feared. Part 5. Disorganized attachment, the torn one. The fourth style is disorganized attachment. We'll call this one the torn one. This often forms in environments that were traumatic or frightening. The caregiver is both a source of comfort and fear, so the child becomes torn. They crave connection, but also brace for harm. They may act unpredictably, pulling people close, then pushing them away. In adulthood, this shows up as inner chaos, a fear of abandonment and intimacy. It's not your fault. This style is born from survival, and you deserve peace. Part 6. It's not just about others. We often talk about attachment as something that happens between people. And that's true, but it also shows up within us. Those early relationships become internalized. If we were criticized, we might now criticize ourselves. If we were ignored, we might neglect our own needs. If we were comforted, we might learn to self-soothe. So attachment isn't just about how we connect with others. It's about how we relate to ourselves. Ask yourself, how do I respond to myself when I'm hurting? Do I show up or do I shut down? Healing is about finding safe relationships outside of us and becoming a safe relationship inside ourselves too. Part 7. A mindful reframe. Your attachment style is not a flaw. It's a reflection of what kept you safe, and it can change. Therapists call this earned secure attachment. It happens when, through safe relationships and reflection, you start to trust again, inside and out. So instead of saying, I am anxious, say, I learned to cling when love felt uncertain. Instead of saying, I am avoidant, say, I learned to shut down when it didn't feel safe to need anything. You are not broken. You are adapting, and you are healing. Closing reflection. Take one last breath. Let your shoulders soften. Which part of this landed with you? What are you learning about how you connect? You don't need to fix it all. Just keep noticing. You are not alone in this work, and the fact that you're here, that matters. If this reflection helped, you might enjoy our video on mentalization, a gentle way to build emotional insight and deepen your understanding of yourself and others. This is Mindful Ego. Thank you for being here.
Reflect, regulate, grow.